Alt-Centrism Central viewers, welcome back to Alt Interviews. Today I have Libertarian Party Chairman and LNC at-large member Joshua Smith to talk about his candidacy for the chairmanship of the Libertarian Party. Joshua, how are you doing today?
I'm doing just fine. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem at all. All right, so first I wanted to ask you, what inspired you to start running for chair?
Sure. Well, as a lot of people know, I'm a Ron Paul libertarian. Ron Paul brought me to the movement after serving in war overseas back in 2008. And, I followed the Libertarian Party for a long time, and I thought that they really had some potential to be at the forefront of the liberty movement in this country. And I kind of saw, in 2017, I saw a chairman that really wasn't giving a great name to the party, was really laying out a display of the principles and the philosophy of liberty. And, the majority of people in this country, when they hear the word libertarian, they automatically think of the party. And so I thought maybe I could put together a good run and, try and move the Overton window and get the party to do the principles that the philosophy of liberty have to offer. And so that was why I ran in 2018. And then, I built up steam. I got on the as an at-large on the committee, and I just kept going, and people asked me to run again in 2020, and so I gave it a lot of thought and announced.
All right. So you mentioned the how the party is viewed and the role of the chair in doing that. Where do you think the current chair has failed in presenting the Libertarian Party to the general populace, and what is wrong with the image of the party?
Sure. Well, I just think that there's been a real lack of focused messaging. It's one of my main concerns is, we have all these great libertarian principles that people all across the country agree with us on, and we don't put them at the forefront of everything we do. We're so interested in just playing politics that we forget sometimes that there's an entire ideology that is wrapped up in what we're doing. And so, no focused messaging, no messaging goals. There's no saying, hey, these are our topics that we should probably try and stick to as a board, the anti-war sentiment, the anti-Fed sentiment, the ending with the failed war on drugs. That's all really important things, and we need to make sure that people understand that those are what we stand for. But also, kind of going out of the way to turn off these big libertarian names that can bring in thousands more people for us. And so those are two things that I would immediately change. I would lay out focused messaging goals for myself. I would present them to the board. I'd say these are the things that we should focus on. If you guys agree, I would like to, start trying to attain media so that we can talk about ending the warfare state, so we can talk about, ending the failed war on drugs. Those are the kind of things that we should be pushing to the public and letting them know that we're the only party that stands for these things. And so those are some definite changes I'd make right away.
All right. And I wanted to ask you, how are you different from the other two candidates who are currently running? I know Nick Sarwark is not running again, so you're not contesting against him, but I know you're running against Joe Bishop Henchman and Mike Shipley. What separates you from their vision of the party and what they want to do with the chairmanship?
Well, let me kind of highlight some of the stuff that they're good at. Mike Shipley is a left-leaning libertarian, and he is trying to make space for libertarians in this country that lean left on some issues, maybe social issues or whatever. And he's passionate, and he's got a powerful presence when he talks to that demographic, and so that's his goal, is to open up that space for them. Joe Bishop Henchman is really good at the nuts and bolts of stuff, of kind of getting into the organization and looking for little discrepancies here and there. I think he'd make a great treasurer or something along those lines, maybe a great secretary. As far as I'm concerned, I'm an inspirational figure. I've proven over the last 2 years that I can inspire people to get involved in this movement, to become leadership, to become candidates, to become campaign managers and campaign staff. And that's what we need. We need somebody at the top of this party who's going to go out and bring people into the movement and make them feel like they're at home. And that's what I've shown that I can do repeatedly. And I don't think that the other two opponents are any competition for me in that aspect of chairing this party.
All right. So I want to bring it back sort of to the focus messaging, and I wanted to ask you specifically what you think the specific focus should be A lot of people would say the current focus is just getting that 5% of the vote, that 15% of the vote in the presidential election. What do you think should be the focus? Should the Libertarian Party be focusing that as their main goal, or what should be the goals?
So, I mean, it's important to know that in our bylaws for the Libertarian Party, our purpose is twofold, right? There is an aspect where we want to have political success. We want to win elections. But the difference there is that our candidates are not trying to win elections to get themselves into positions of power. They're trying to win elections to relinquish that power, to take the government boot off the necks of the American public. And so that is an important aspect. We do want to win elections. We do want to earn votes. We do want to fundraise. We want to do all that stuff in the political climate today and change it and change the way it looks and the way that people think about politics in the country. But the other goal that we have that's stated in our bylaws is education, the education of the public. So to do that, we have to open up our principles. We have to put them at the forefront of everything we do. We have to tell people that we're the only party in this country that is trying to end constant foreign interventionism. We're the only party in this country that is suspect of the Federal Reserve. We're the only party in this country that wants to end a failed war on drugs. We're not going to make bipartisan deals to continue these terribly failed policies. And so we need to let the government or the American public know that this is what we're about. This is what we're doing. That's where the education comes in. So our candidates are out there educating their communities. The National Libertarian Committee, this body of people that is tasked with running this entire organization, should always be constantly educating everybody that they come into contact with, whether that's through the media, whether that's through emails, whether that's through talking to somebody at a grocery store. We need someone who's always going to be thinking about the education aspect of libertarianism, and that's what I do. That's what I've been doing for years. That's what I'm going to bring to the chairmanship, and I believe that that's going to make us a successful and viable political party in the United States of America.
All right. Next, I wanted to ask you sort of about campaigns going on right now. Joe Jorgensen is now the presidential candidate, and Spike Cohen is the vice presidential candidate. Could you just give some thoughts that you have on the campaign? What you think they can do well, what successes they can bring to the party, and what their strategy should be going forward?
Well, I just want to start off with I'm very excited about this ticket. We had some options this year that could have got us into that same 3-4% realm that we were in with Gary Johnson and Bill Weld in 2016. But I think we pulled a very principled option. Joe Jorgensen, she's passionate about the policies. She's a very hard worker. She'll travel the country. I know she'll do really well. She ran with Harry Brown in 1996. I'm very excited to see what she can do in town halls and in the media. But now we also have Spike Cohen running for vice president, who is a loud and proud, pure libertarian who's going to tell everybody exactly like it is in a way that's palatable. If you've watched Spike Cohen orate anything, you know that he's a wonderful speaker. He's very good at selling this philosophy and these policies to people of all flavors in this country. And so I think, having that topic ticket that's solid, businesswoman, college educated, passionate about the ideals, knows the policies that she can change, can orate those, and having the radical as her vice presidential candidate who's going to lift her up, help her keep that line towards our North Star of libertarian ideals, and working together and his savvy online and knowing how to control the narrative on the internet, it's just going to be a beautiful coalition. It's like it feels like real unity. And the good thing about the Spike Joe Jorgensen ticket is that it's brought a lot of the people in the party together. I mean, different factions of the party that have been at war for years with each other are now kind of coming together. And you saw that with the nomination of Spike Cohen, because you're talking the Libertarian Socialist Caucus, the Audacious Caucus, the Mises caucus. I mean, even the Prague-endorsed candidate when he dropped off the ballot, he endorsed Spike Cohen. So you see that unity building, and that's a good thing to get behind a presidential ticket, because if everyone can work together behind a presidential ticket, it makes it that much more successful. We saw that in 2008, 2012 behind the Ron Paul tickets. I mean, that was fun. People were together. They weren't fighting each other. They were working together. It didn't matter if they had deviations on what they wanted to see in the United States. They worked together and they made it a successful ticket. They gave Ron Paul the platform that he needed. He did great in the debate, and everyone was happy. And that's what I want to see with this presidential ticket. And I think that their strategy and their unity and their differences are what are going to bring this party together and get a strong presidential ticket in the United States.
All right. There's a little bit of debate in the party specifically about this campaign and the messaging and who they're going out to appeal to. Who do you think is an important demographic that needs to be reached by this campaign?
Well, I think the 61% of the population that didn't vote for a presidential candidate in 2016 is of the utmost importance for us as a party. Those 61% have used their non-voting privileges to state that they're not happy with the two old parties. They're not happy with the direction of this country. They don't think that a presidential candidate in that election could change things. And now we can see that contrast. This ticket shows a contrast. And I think if they can really reach out to those disaffected Americans that feel like they have no recourse in American politics today, if they can really reach that 61% of population, I don't see how we can do badly in this election. There's communities and demographics that just don't feel represented in American politics, and I think Spike and Joe are going to go out and represent those people in a way that everyone can be proud of. And so those are the people that we need to focus on. Of course, we want to get some disaffected Republicans. Of course, we want to get some disaffected Democrats that feel like their parties are no longer representing them. But that 61% of the population has to be a focus for us.
Yeah, most definitely. Wanted to ask this question is, how would you personally convince somebody that it's worth it to vote for a third party candidate, whether it be in our presidential election or whether it be a down ballot race?
Well, it's really, over the years, the way that I've actually been successful in this arena is I just point out the policies that they care about, right? We have to be compassionate to the American voter because they have real concerns. They have real fears that worry them. And if we're not addressing those issues, then they're not going to vote for us. And so that's another reason why I'm excited by this ticket. I think this ticket will address those issues in a way that we haven't had a libertarian candidate do in a long time. And so, people are worried about schools. They're worried about welfare. They're worried about the warfare state. They're worried about the war on drugs. And so we have to orate policies that people see eye to eye with us on in a way that brings them to our issues, not pushes them away. And so that's how I found the most success, is just kind of being compassionate, remembering that I know we're libertarians and we like to talk, but we have two ears and one mouth for a reason. And listening to the fears of people is the best way to get that done.
So specifically, people like to say that, oh, you're wasting your vote if you vote for third parties, or if you vote for a third party, you're voting for X party's candidate. How would you address this fear going into the 2020 election, as this is still a very prevalent fear, as we could see from the reaction to when Jo Jorgensen announced her campaign, and that hashtag I'm with her hashtag went viral on Twitter?
Well, first of all, I want to start off by saying a vote for a libertarian is just that. It's a vote for a libertarian. It's not a vote for another party. No one owes you their vote. Period, plain and simple. People are voting on policies that are near and dear to their heart. And if you find a party that represents your needs and your wants and what you think is going to enrich your community, vote for that person unapologetically, because at the end of the day, you can sleep tight knowing that you tried to put somebody in that office that was going to actually take care of the issue. And we just have to let people know that the Republicans and Democrats, they strike bipartisan deals on all the bad stuff that you hate all the time. The drug war, the warfare state, this COVID-19 crisis bill that went out that was filled with a bunch of pork that they said was to help the disaffected workers in the United States was actually to help a bunch of big corporations, while small businesses were getting shut down left and right, and 42% of those businesses will never open again. So we need to just highlight the fact that the Republicans and the Democrats, if you're voting for those people, that's fine. But they are the same party at this point. They strike bipartisan deals on all the stuff, the bad stuff that you hate every day. And so a vote for a libertarian is a vote for real policy change, real policy reform, and just that, it's a vote for a libertarian.
Yeah. So we talked about presidential elections a little bit, but I wanted to ask you about down ballot races. This is something that is often ignored both in the Libertarian Party and even in the Republican and Democratic Party. A lot of people have a narrow focus on the presidential election and maybe their local congressional election, but that's it. How important are down ballot races to you, and what would you do to help down ballot tickets win?
Well, down ballot's got to be the focus for the Libertarian Party. We're simply not a big enough party. We're not financed well enough to be, guaranteed winning a presidential election. And so the presidential nominee and the vice presidential nominee, in fact, are on a 50-state media tour to try and help down ballot candidates, to try and help grow the party, get us more activists, more candidates, more funding. And so that's kind of part of the presidential candidate's job in the Libertarian Party. But as far as me personally, I've talked a lot about building a regional media team, having people that can go out into the media and talk about our candidates and our party and the stuff that we're working on. I've talked about candidate tools and resources and building the lpaction.org up so that, candidates can focus more on their message and know that they have this backup resource on things like how to write a campaign plan, how to finance your campaign, how to build a campaign team, all this really good stuff by people who know how to win. And so, we have to be educating our candidates. We have to get them ready for those shows, and we need to constantly be looking for media opportunities to let people know that they have libertarians on the ballot. So I think with those two things and my membership recruitment that will bring new candidates to the party, I think we're going to be fine down ballot here in the next couple of years. Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, in the eventuality that you didn't win your chair race, let's say if you didn't win your chair race, in that possibility, what would you do moving forward to help the party after such?
Well, I continue to do what I do now. I'm not ever going to give up on this party. I don't have another political home in the United States, and so I'm going to be here recruiting candidates, recruiting activists, trying to get us into the media. I'm just not going to stop. It's never going to stop. I'm going to continue to do the same things I'm doing until I have successfully changed the political landscape in this country. And so whether they give me the chairmanship or not, that makes no difference to me. But I'd like to have that platform because that platform gives me a much bigger opportunity to do these things. It's a good platform for somebody who's good at that kind of stuff.
Definitely. Let's see. Well, I wanted to ask you next is specifically, you have a lot of involvement with the Mises caucus specifically. I wanted to ask you, do you consider yourself an official member and representative of the Mises caucus, or are you just somebody who has lots of associations with people in the caucus?
No, of course, I'm a dues-paying member of the caucus every month. I'm actually the candidate committee chairman for the subcommittee for the candidates. And, I've been there since the ground floor. They endorsed me in 2018. I helped build it. I talk about the Mises Caucus everywhere I win. I think they do great work. I know that not everyone always agrees with everybody in the Mises Caucus all the time, but, they're funding ballot initiatives. They're giving money to candidates. They're busting their ass every day to help grow the Libertarian Party. And so to me, it's a great cause. I think they do good work. And I'm absolutely a member. I'm absolutely on a subcommittee, a chair of a subcommittee for them. So.
Okay. Next, I wanted to ask you about a controversy involving Spike. I'm sure you're already aware of what I'm going to say, but Spike Cohen is getting a lot of flack right now because he appeared on a podcast shirtless and also he has multiple Facebook photos of him exposing his chest. What are your thoughts on this controversy, and do you think it really is going to hurt the party and the ticket moving forward?
I think it's a faux outrage, really. I don't think it's going to hurt us at all. In fact, I think more people are going to be able to relate to Spike in this country than any politician they've ever had at the top of the ticket like this before, ever. So, no, I don't think it's bad. I don't think it's a bad thing. I love Spike. Like I said, if people actually listen to what Spike has to say, he's one of the greatest orators in this party. And I'm so excited for what he can do. I'm so excited for him being able to reach out to the youth. You know, he's the first millennial nominated to vice presidential election. I'm excited. I want to see what he can do. I think that there's tons of millennials out there in this country that don't feel represented by the two old parties, and Spike's going to give them representation. And so I think it's great, and it doesn't offend me at all. And I wish people would stop being offended by it because you know, the last 3 elections we've ran, you know, somewhat respectable old politicians, and it's gotten us nowhere. So I'm ready to see what Spike can do, and I think it's going to be a great thing.
Yeah, and what would you say specifically to these people who are saying they're turned off by this kind of behavior? There's been several people on, you know, official Facebook groups for the LP and Joe Jorgensen's campaign that have said that they don't feel faith in the ticket and they don't feel like they would vote for the ticket because of this controversy. What would you say to those people to maybe get them back on board?
Well, I mean, your options are Joe Jorgensen and Spike Cohen, or 2 alleged rapists. You know, at the end of the day, it's not a hard choice to make. I mean, you know, you have Joe Jorgensen, who obviously cares very much about the American public and wants the philosophy of liberty to be instituted into politics in this country to get that government boot off of people's neck. There's no question that it's the best ticket. And if you're in the party and you're upset about Spike Cohen showing his chest, I got news for you. Gary Johnson had all kinds of media gas in 2016. I mean, to the tune of faking a heart attack, sticking his tongue out at reporters in the middle of an interview. You know, it's really not that big of a deal, and I think that you guys having this faux outrage over this is just going to pump Spike up and make him do more crazy things. So just keep that in mind, that Spike is doing what he needs to do to reach a demographic that this party has not reached in its existence. And so I think he's doing good work, and I'm excited to see what he does.
All right. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. I appreciate you coming on and giving us this opportunity.
Of course, I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come up, and
yeah,
I really do.
No problem. You have a wonderful day.
Hey, you as well.
All right.